Hey Paranormies, welcome back to the light side of the paranormal. My name is Alice, and today I'm going to be sharing one of my friend's scary ghost encounter. I'm sure that she would be fine with me using her name, but just in case, and because there are other people involved in this story as well, I will be changing all the names of the people associated, but I hope that you like this spooky story time. So a few years ago, Sandy moved in with her boyfriend, Brandon. She moved into his place, but technically it was his uncle's place, if that makes any sense. He inherited the place when his uncle passed away. It was in a very rural area and there was lots of farms nearby, and so there was naturally lots of farming equipment nearby. So while Brandon was exploring the backyard some more and some trails in the back, he dug up this old tractor planter. Now, if you don't know what that is, because I didn't until she explained it to me, it's basically this like corkscrew-shaped metal device that I'm assuming digs up the soil before you plant it, or possibly plants as you dig. I'm not quite sure how it works, but that is the shape of it. That is all you need to know. Just picture that in your mind. Yeah. So he brings it in thinking like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, and it's super antique looking, and it's all rusty and old and dirty, which he just loved. Now, she wasn't a super fan of it, but I mean, it made him happy, so whatever. So he wanted to display it in the home as a decoration. Almost immediately, they started noticing that the house was feeling very cold all the time. And in some areas of the house, it was freezing, like their noses would be red, their feet and hands would be just ice cold to the touch. Soon after that, an overwhelming smell of rotten eggs or sulfur would pick up in certain areas of the house. And it would be like a wall of just stank. Like, you'd be walking normal, boom, that's a smelly spot. To be honest, Sandy totally thought that it was just Brandon farting and like leaving his farts in places around the apartment. But after confronting him about his crazy fart problem, she realized that it wasn't that at all. And he kind of thought it was the same thing, vice versa, to her. So, you know, when you move in with someone for the first time, you're learning about each other, but thankfully that wasn't either of them. Well, is it thankful? I don't know, because what was it, right? Sandy would also be standing in the hallway sometimes, and they had a nightlight in the hallway, and she would see the nightlight pause and go out for a second and then go back on, as if she got the feeling that someone was walking past and blocking the light. Not only that, but while she was walking around in the house, sometimes she would hear like a cat call clicking, like that, and she would look behind her thinking that it was Brandon, and it wasn't. There was not anyone there. It would even happen when she was home alone. This would be an important spot to mention that both Brandon and Sandy were very, very skeptical of all paranormal things. They just kind of thought that it was hocus pocus, and later had to learn the hard way that these things are very, very real. So they started feeling a very negative energy in the home, to the point that it was affecting their moods. They would both be very just depressed and down and uncomfortable in the home. They were sitting in the living room one evening, just hanging out right after supper, and Sandy was in college at the time, so she had all of her big, heavy college books stacked on the side of the couch. It was 3 books, and they were sturdy textbooks. They weren't like a flimsy stack of books. And so as they were sitting there was this very loud bang, and then they look, and the books looked as if they had been knocked off the couch. That was the moment Sandy brought up to Brandon that they should start considering that there's something more going on here. Both of them had to open their minds because they really couldn't make sense of all these weird happenings. They started thinking about what could be different in the home that all this weird stuff could suddenly start happening. And then Sandy realized, oh my gosh, that planter. Old items are great, antique pieces are exciting, but they all have energy attached to them from their old life, if you will. You don't know the story that's attached to that item. That's why yard sailing and thrift shopping can come with a bit of danger. So as much as Brandon loved this planter, they both agreed that he should probably get rid of it. They got really busy with work, and so the week carried on, and he was going to get rid of it on the weekend. Later that week, they went to sleep as usual, and Brandon had a weird dream. In his dream, which he told Sandy the second that he woke up very jolted, so it woke her up, and then he told the story. So this is what he told her. They were laying in bed, just like they are, and then his uncle, who had passed, was standing in the room with them, pointing at the door, yelling,
"No! No! Stop! No! Enough!"
and there was this big dark mass in the doorway to their bedroom. It was very weird, especially for these skeptics. I mean, what the heck was that, right? So they really made note of that, and they decided, okay, there must be something going on here. I can feel a negative presence, a negative energy. What the heck is going on? So they were both very shaken up now that they've seen this vision of some kind in Brandon's dream. And so they decided, okay, I can't sleep, can you? No. All right, let's just go to the living room, have a drink, and just relax in hopes that we can fall back to sleep in a little bit. So they're just sitting on the couch, talking it through and really trying to make sense of all this, when suddenly there was a large bang in the wall, then 4 little taps on the wall, 4 dings on the clock, ding, 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 and the energy just lifted. Everything was lighter, everything was airy and happy and positive, and they really couldn't believe it. So for those of you that don't already know, this was interesting, especially because the number 4 symbolizes justice and stability. They were lacking a bit of that in their situation, so it seemed like this was ritualistic in nature, but in a good way. And yeah, so everything just felt better instantly after these noises. They were both extremely exhausted at this point, both physically and emotionally, so they finally decided to go back to bed, and they slept like angels. No, I don't think that's a saying. They slept like babies. So after having that great sleep, they wake up, and Brandon's parents were meant to come over for lunch that day. So according to plan, they showed up, they invited them in, and his parents could tell that there was something going on with the two of them. Their whole vibes were just off and very weird. So they asked them, like, are you guys okay? Is there something going on? So then Sandy comes out and she's like, well, first of all, I keep hearing this weird clicking, like a cat call. And Brandon's dad stops her right there and goes, wait a minute, clicking? Sounds like Uncle Dom. He died in here, you know. And Brandon was like, what? You told me that he passed away and that's how I got the house. You didn't tell me that he died in the house. And Sandy's totally beside herself. She's like, I freaking moved into this haunted house. Dad goes, yeah, he used to catcall girls all the time like that. It was part of his zany personality. And first thing Sandy asks is, well, where did he die? The bedroom down the hall on the right, where he had that dream, where they were sleeping every single night. That's where he passed away. I'm not sure what he died from. I believe it was an illness of some kind, but it's so chilling to know that, oh my gosh, and they were just in there. And anyhow, so that would explain some of the events that occurred, but what was this dark presence? Because Uncle Dom wasn't very malevolent or angry in nature. And then they really pieced it together and they thought, okay, the planter is what's new. The planter is probably what the negative entity was attached to. Maybe it was angry that he had dug it out and moved it. Maybe they put it there on purpose before they passed on. Anyhow, so that explains the negative entity probably, and then his uncle showed up to protect them. And that's why he had that dream, and that's why there was the weird noises that stopped the negative energy, and so on and so on. I love analyzing ghost stories and trying to see why things happened and where everything came from. So the fact that they were able to do that and that I was able to hear it and now share it with you is so cool. And that wraps up Sandy and Brandon's ghost story. What do you think? Do you think that it was all just a series of odd coincidences? They were subtle enough, but Sandy and Brandon became believers that day. Believers in the paranormal. And I believe them. You know, I don't know Brandon because they've since broken up, but I know Sandy very well, and she isn't the type of person to lie or to embellish stories like this. She's very blunt and to the point, no nonsense kind of gal, which I love about her. So anything that she says, I find it a lot more believable. But we appreciate all opinions and all beliefs here on the light side, so if you want to try and debunk this, please feel free to do so in the comments. And if you believe in it, or if you have any similar stories of your own, please share those in the comments. If they are long stories, we do have our email address that you can send those to in the description. Please subscribe for more videos like this. We do cover paranormal and spiritual content, so if that is your jam, become a part of our Paranormy fam. Please like this video if you want us to keep sharing real people's encounters with the paranormal. And as always, live your life with love and light. We'll see you next time. Bye!